Average Dude has something to say about...
Everybody, welcome back. This episode that I'm going to do is dealing with the whole situation with George Zimmerman and the murder of Trayvon Martin. I did not talk about this one last year when I first started this show, and I have not talked about it this entire time because for quite a few reasons. First of all, it's a mess. It's been a mess from the beginning. Let's go ahead and start off, though, and talk about the new development where there's an all-female jury. I'll get to the gender issue later on this, because it's going to come up. But I didn't want to talk about this because let's start. The media coverage was ridiculous. Inconsistent is all get out. Very difficult to tell what was true and what was embellished. On both sides, because there were people pro-George and pro-Trayvon, and all the misinformation and inconsistencies helped neither side, and the media got out those photos. Everybody has a reason to be angry about the photos. Originally, you showed Georgie Porgy Pudding Pie with his orange, the suit that they wear when you are arrested, the mugshot, and they showed Trayvon much younger, and so people were angry about that. And so, what did other reports show? What other? They switched over to a picture of a much slimmer Georgie, looking all dressed up, suit and tie, and smile on his face. And then they showed Trayvon looking like a thug with a hoodie. They showed the picture of a hoodie with him. Yeah. Hey, really? Impartiality, media. Pick the current pictures and try not to profile. Come on! How could you have possibly not found a impartial picture of both of them? They went out of their way initially to show George at his worst and Trayvon at his most innocent, and then went the other way and made Trayvon look like he was at his absolute worst, and then George as innocent as could be. You don't do that. Media coverage sucks anymore. And then I didn't want to deal with it because this whole situation turned into a guns rights or control issue. This is a murder situation. That's what it should be all about. And I get really sick and tired of when politicians and self-serving interest groups like the NRA and everybody makes it out to be about them. And then they jump on the bandwagon, skewering the whole situation, throwing money for attorney situations because they have selfish, self-serving motivations for doing so. It's about murder. This situation is about murder. It should not have been about guns. Murder is murder, whether it's with a gun, a knife, a rope, or anything. Oh, God. And then there was that scream that they're talking about now, because that's going to be supposedly pivotal. Was it Trayvon or George that screamed? Are we going to allow experts to look at that audio? Apparently, the courts need to determine that. Hey, oh, God, that should not be even necessary at this juncture. It's not the real issue. The stalking that happened with the 911 call. Okay, we don't need you to do that. There are people that are coming to Georgie Porgy Pudding Pie's defense. Oh, but it was Trayvon that approached him first. Okay, well then if Trayvon did approach him first, they obviously parted ways. Trayvon was not part of that conversation with the 911 dispatcher where the dispatcher, are you still following this person? Yes. Okay, we don't need you to do that. It doesn't matter whether the police department said it's okay. The moment that the police department says no, that's it. The rest, that happens after that is stalking. And that is what this is about. This is a murder situation that was brought on by stalking. Oh, Lord. Quote, the links are all down below. I really didn't want to go over this. Quote, Zimmerman, who is of mixed heritage and self-identifies as Hispanic. That's important. He's identifying as Hispanic for a reason. Remember earlier there was a lot of back and forth between, okay, I identify as white, and then it kind of jumped around, and of course the media. Can you trust the media? Okay, Zimmerman is saying that he identifies as Hispanic. There's a reason for that. Remember, Hispanic is a minority. That way it's not white versus black. It's minority versus minority. And I'll tell you something, Florida and a lot of the rest of the country, we don't talk about this, but there is a big rift between the black population and the Hispanic population. They won't want to talk about it, but it happens. And you know what? Because there's a major, it's minority versus minority. Who's going to get the goodies? Who's the favored minority group? We don't like to talk about that, but it's there. Quote, these issues have nothing to do with Martin's death, says Robert Zimmerman, George's father. He recently released an ebook titled Florida vs. Zimmerman, Uncovering the Malicious Prosecution of My Son. Oh, God. More money bullshit from the Zimmerman family. Remember the whole codes and the stupid they were trying to fudge the amounts that they had when it came to, the early on, when it came to George's situation, him and the discussions with him and his wife, talking in code. Oh, man, this family schemes for money. I don't trust the Zimmerman family. Quote, Robert Zimmerman, himself a former judge. Oh, that's wonderful. Have you ever noticed how the family members and the children of judges, or attorneys for that matter too, especially politicians, have you noticed how there's a lot of favoritism and they get away with a whole lot of shit? Yeah, at your expense. The regular person gets to be a victim of the favoritism that's played out. Yeah, diplomatic immunity. We've talked about that with diplomats that are foreign diplomats that come over. They're not even Americans, U.S. citizens, and yet they have more rights than we do. They have the right to commit crimes and get away with it. Yeah, there's favoritism. And a former judge, ooh, I don't like that. Quote, race is a lot more nuanced than we often report and discuss in public discourse, he said. This is one of those cases that's going to demonstrate how nuanced it really is. This issue is about murder involving stalking. Let's go there. Okay, we are talking about the stalking situation. There are two Florida laws. Links are down below. The 784.048 deals with it. Stalking, definitions, and penalties. Quote, a person who willfully, maliciously, and repeatedly follows, harasses, or stalks, cyber stalks also, another person commits the offense of stalking, a misdemeanor of the first degree. So, there you have it. And also 782.04, murder. And look at section N, aggravated stalking. This seems to throw a monkey wrench because the state of Florida screwed things up by throwing the word aggravated. Somehow it's different. I would love to know why. But, okay, so if a murder takes place, it has to be aggravated? What does that mean, Florida? What the hell? But hey, if it's just stalking, and you know what? Let's just move away from that. I want to get to the heart of the matter of why I am doing this episode. And it has to do with, remember, there's a panel that is all females on the jury. I want to focus on gender here for a minute rather than race. What if Trayvon Martin was a female? would have happened? Would Georgie have been able to walk away? No! If Georgie had seen someone or a woman of any kind, white, whatever, a hoodie at night, and I don't like the look of this person, and stalked around, and you have a recorded message from the police department saying, okay, we don't need you to do that. If George had stalked that female, it would have been a big issue, and it would have been dealt with like that, not this horse crap. Why is it so different for males? I mean, Trayvon was a minor, whether we like it or not. A minor. If this was a full-grown woman, it would have been different. We know that it would have been different. We consider males stalking females a big issue, whether they are armed with a gun or not. The man doesn't even have to have a gun. Why is it different? Why in the world is this even an issue? Stalking is stalking, regardless of what the laws are and how people interpret them, the laws of the land. Why are we so inconsistent? Why is it that if Trayvon were female, this would have been a whole different scenario, and yet that poor family, the Martin family, has to go through all of this simply because, male child. And the stigma that goes with being male. Why are we not talking about that? We're talking about race. The human race is divided roughly 50-50 with gender. Inequality. This is a big situation. How would you feel if your family member was out and somebody stalked your family member and was killed? Would you want them to be able to get away scot-free because we're not quite sure whether this, legally speaking, falls under stalking? I'm sorry, everyone. This situation has been crap from the beginning. Take care.